Hi, this is Kristen here with another process video, and today I am working on day 20 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, and this is actually the second layout I have made for this sketch. It's kind of like a record looking sketch with like some musical notes, and I had already done a layout, and then I kind of all of a sudden brainstormed this idea to do like a spinning record. So I'm not going to put the pictures in the middle, but I'm not much of like an interactive scrapbooker. Like you're not going to see me do flip flaps and pieces where you pull out, just because I'm so paranoid with like things staying intact and together, because you work so hard on them that I don't want the papers being constantly pulled in and out of the protective sleeves. But I felt like with this, you could just reach into the top of the protective sleeve to spin a record around. So for some reason with this, when I saw that sketch, I kept thinking, since I'm an 80s kid, you spin me right round like a record. And so I got to thinking, well, the lyrics in there, it says baby. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do quite a few different pictures of my firstborn when he was a baby, like ones that wouldn't necessarily be great to scrapbook on their own or whatever, but that I would like to have scrapbooked or put somewhere where they just aren't ones that necessarily would make a good layout in and of themselves. So I end up finding a record cut file on Silhouette, and then I printed it out, cut it out, adhered it all together, and then I end up putting a brad in the middle there that has the letter A on it, since it's for my firstborn son, Andrew. And then I go ahead and cut out the lyrics of You Spin Me Right Round. Now, of course, I couldn't fit the full lyrics, so I kind of like adapted it a little bit on my Silhouette, and then I've adhered them down. I kind of spared you, having watched me glue all those separate pieces down. The pictures, I just picked 8 different pictures, and none of them are like necessarily the same size or whatever. I just cut them down to where they would fit on the record. And I was hoping that it would still convey that they look like a record, but I wanted to get quite a few pictures scrapbooked. Now, I didn't mount anything or anything like that because, I had limited space there really with it. I really considered reprinting the pictures a little bit smaller so that I could do something like that. But then I was like, I don't know that it would be worth the cost of like reprinting it, because they're good pictures. So, and then I got to thinking, like, if I mount them, then you might not be able to tell at that point that it's a record. And I consider using a few less photographs on there, but kind of the point of the layout was to try to get quite a few pictures documented. And so I'm going through some ephemera. Now, I had put the record on just it's like a really light green with like kind of some white crosses as my background paper. And that was an Echo Park baby package. I'm wanting to say it was like Welcome Baby Boy maybe, or something like that. And then I'm just pulling in some stickers here that I had just kind of laying around that were Echo Park baby ones. Excuse me. This says baby's first year. And then I'm just there's no rhyme or reason for where I'm putting things. I'm just trying to kind of fill in the space in between without like overloading it too much to where you can't tell it's a record, or at least have some semblance that that's probably what it is. And then I wanted to stash bust, so I had these stickers in my stash since probably before he was born. Like, I remember when I got pregnant, I ended up going to a local scrapbooking store that's now since been closed a long time ago, but it was my favorite place. I loved going in there. But anyways, I had bought both boy and girl stickers because I wasn't sure what I was going to have. So I've got like a same set in blue, kind of boy colors, and then I've got the same set but in girl color. So I was wanting to stash bust a little bit too. So I'm just kind of putting things where I kind of feel like it looks like he's playing, ones where he's like sleeping, so I try to coordinate it a little bit so that it kind of goes along with the theme a little bit. I'm a big theme scrapbooker, so like I like to have similar things as in the pictures. And for me, that just like mentally, it's what makes sense. It's how I know like what to use on my layouts and things like that. Like I don't have to necessarily be super matchy with things, but I just tend to be I find myself being more of a theme scrapbooker and trying to pull in things that are similar in the layouts. So it's like I pulled a onesie there where, he was on a little mat where my husband usually would get him dressed. And so he would get him dressed in the morning. I would already be at work. So I'd be bummed that I couldn't see him in the morning because he, of course, would still be sleeping. And so my husband would get him up to get dropped off at my in-laws' house. And he would always like take a picture of him in his cute little outfit or whatever in the morning just so that I could, kind of get a glimpse of the little guy. So. And then these are some stickers, and I'm just going to try to use some of this stuff up and stash bust it and get it on here. So I'm just pulling out some stickers. That's what I'm just kind of filling in the gaps. And this was one of those that I just all of a sudden came to me. And I was actually getting ready to sit down and work on another layout. And it was just like I had an epiphany. And sometimes I will do that. And I really need to like sit down and write things down when I think of them, because oftentimes I will think of stuff and then not have an opportunity to really sit down and, scrapbook them. So I've been trying to, like, if I brainstorm an idea, to try to either sit down right away and scrapbook it or try to write it down. So I was really happy to be able to sit down and actually put this idea down before it kind of flew out of my head. But it just was like an epiphany, and I had to sit down and scrapbook it. So I stopped working on the other scrapbook layout I was working on and pivoted to this one just to get it done while I was thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and put the date here. I was considering putting his name on that record, but I figured with the date and the A, it would be kind of obvious who it was. And then there would be no mix-up. So, and I didn't want to put too much there to kind of take away from the title. This is from a different Echo Park pack from I think the main one I've been kind of pulling from has been Welcome Baby Boy, I believe. And then this one I think might have been like Hello Baby or something like that. But it was one of the ones that they had on like their clearance sales. So I'm not even sure that it's one that these are even ones that you can still get, because I probably got these probably about a year ago or so. I'm going to go ahead and put a label up here, and then I just write up at the top to spin the record. So that way, it's an interactive page. And then I end up putting Miracle on here because he was our miracle baby. He was not expected to survive. So, it was a lot going on with the pregnancy and stuff, and with his health and things like that. I mean, now he's completely healthy, so thank God for that. But so that's why I put that there, just because I kind of felt like that was appropriate. And here is the finished layout. Super simple. I mean, I didn't use a lot of like embellishments or anything like that. And I'm not huge into interactive scrapbooking, but I just, as soon as I saw that layout, I just thought that, this made sense. It came to me and I had to do it. I don't know. It's like one of those where it was like an itch. I had to scratch it. So here are some close-ups, and I appreciate you for coming by to watch another process video.